You've been told your whole life that coffee is bad for you. Maybe your doctor said cut back. Maybe you switched to decaf years ago, feeling guilty every single morning. Well, I need you to stay with me for the next few minutes, because what I'm about to share might completely change how you think about that cup of coffee sitting in your kitchen right now. And if you're over 60, this is especially urgent because there's one specific way most seniors drink coffee that is quietly pushing their blood sugar in the wrong direction every single day. But here's the other side of that coin. When you drink coffee the right way, at the right time, with the right additions, recent research shows it can actually help protect you from type 2 diabetes and support healthy blood sugar control. So before you pour another cup, watch this. I'm Dr. Anderson, and over the years I've worked with hundreds of patients over the age of 60, managing prediabetes, blood sugar instability, and the early stages of type 2 diabetes. I see the same mistakes repeated over and over again, not because my patients don't care, but because nobody has ever explained this clearly. That changes today. Comment below and tell me, how many cups of coffee do you drink per day? I genuinely want to know, because your answer will make this video even more personal. Let me tell you about Margaret. She was 67 years old when she first came to see me, and she was doing everything right. She walked 3 times a week. She was watching her portions. She had switched to oatmeal for breakfast. She was taking her blood pressure medication faithfully, but her fasting blood sugar kept creeping upward. 108, then 114, then 118. Her last panel showed 121, and her doctor had used the word pre-diabetic for the first time. She was devastated. She told me, "I don't understand, Dr. Anderson. I gave up so much. I'm trying so hard." When I sat down with her and we went through her full daily routine, I found it. Every single morning, Margaret was drinking 2 large cups of coffee with flavored creamer, the hazelnut kind she loved. 2 tablespoons per cup, 4 tablespoons total. She had no idea that those 4 tablespoons contained 28 grams of sugar and a significant dose of corn syrup solids. Before she'd even had her first bite of food, she was spiking her blood sugar before 8 a.m. every single day for years, and because her coffee felt like her one treat, her one comfort, nobody had ever looked there. Here's the tragic part. It wasn't the coffee hurting her. It was what she'd been told was harmless. We made one targeted change. 3 months later, her fasting blood sugar was 104. She called my office and cried. "I didn't have to give up coffee," she said. "I just had to learn how to drink it." Margaret's story is not unusual, and here's the good news I want you to really hear today. Coffee itself, when consumed correctly, is one of the most well-studied beverages for blood sugar management and diabetes prevention. A landmark study published in the journal Diabetologia followed over 36,000 adults across Europe and found that people who increased their coffee consumption by just 1.5 cups per day showed a measurable reduction in their risk of developing type 2 diabetes. A separate analysis in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that long-term coffee drinkers had significantly better insulin sensitivity than non-coffee drinkers. In plain English, coffee, the actual coffee, tells your cells to respond better to insulin. That's exactly what people with blood sugar problems need. So why is this information not in every waiting room in America? Because the conversation always stops at coffee can raise your heart rate without going deeper. The problem was never the coffee. The problem is what most of us add to it when we drink it and how much we drink. Today, I'm going to walk you through 5 critical things seniors need to know about drinking coffee and blood sugar. And by the end, you'll have a clear, simple plan you can start tomorrow morning. The first one is the most important, and it's the one Margaret fell into. What you add to your coffee matters more than the coffee itself. This surprises people every single time. Black coffee has essentially 0 effect on blood sugar. 0. But the moment you start adding things, everything changes. The biggest offenders are flavored liquid creamers, the ones in the pretty bottles at the grocery store. Most flavored creamers contain high fructose corn syrup, partially hydrogenated oils, and between 5 and 10 grams of added sugar per tablespoon. If you're using 2 or 3 tablespoons per cup and drinking 2 cups, you could be consuming 30 to 60 grams of sugar before breakfast. To put that in perspective, the American Heart Association recommends no more than 25 grams of added sugar per day for women and 36 for men. Some people are consuming their entire daily sugar allotment before 9 in the morning without realizing it. The simple solution is to transition to unsweetened alternatives. Unsweetened almond milk, unsweetened oat milk, or plain half and half in small amounts, about 1 to 2 tablespoons, have a minimal effect on blood sugar. If you need sweetness, a small pinch of cinnamon does something remarkable. A study published in the Journal of Diabetes Science and Technology showed that half a teaspoon of cinnamon per day improved fasting blood sugar by an average of 18 to 29% in adults with type 2 diabetes. Cinnamon contains compounds called polyphenols that mimic insulin and improve glucose uptake in your cells. Think of it as a free upgrade for your coffee that costs about $3 at any grocery store. Here's your pro tip on this one. Buy Ceylon cinnamon specifically, not the generic cassia cinnamon most stores carry. Ceylon is called true cinnamon and has a lower compound called coumarin, which in very high amounts can stress the liver. For everyday use, Ceylon is the better choice. It's slightly more expensive, but a small jar lasts months. Comment creamer below right now if you have been using flavored creamer every morning. You are not alone. And now you know what to do about it. The second thing is timing, and most people have never thought about this at all. When you drink your coffee matters enormously for blood sugar. Here's what's happening in your body first thing in the morning. Between roughly 4 and 8 a.m., your body naturally releases cortisol, your primary stress and alerting hormone. Cortisol signals your liver to release stored glucose into your bloodstream so you have energy to wake up and start your day. Your blood sugar naturally rises during this window even before you eat or drink anything. This is called the dawn phenomenon, and it affects a large percentage of people with prediabetes or diabetes. Now, if you drink coffee the moment you wake up, the caffeine adds another layer of cortisol stimulation on top of what your body is already doing. The result? An exaggerated blood sugar spike before you've touched a single bite of food. A study from the British Journal of Nutrition found that drinking coffee immediately upon waking, before eating anything, raised blood sugar response by up to 50% in the following meal compared to people who waited until after breakfast. So here's the simple fix. Wait 90 minutes after waking before having your first cup of coffee. Eat something first, even something small like a handful of almonds or a piece of whole grain toast. Let your cortisol peak naturally and begin to come down. Then, have your coffee. I know this feels backwards. I know that coffee is the reason some of you get out of bed, but shifting that timing by 90 minutes could meaningfully reduce your post-breakfast blood sugar spike every single day. Here's your pro tip on timing. If you exercise in the morning, have your coffee about 30 minutes before your walk or workout. Caffeine improves fat oxidation during exercise, which means your body uses stored fat more efficiently as fuel, and your blood sugar stays more stable throughout. Before we move to the third thing, I want to ask you, how long have you been dealing with blood sugar concerns? Comment your answer below. It helps me understand who's watching, and it might help someone else feel less alone. The third thing is quantity, and this is where I see seniors either doing too little or too much. The research is fairly clear on the sweet spot. 2 to 3 cups of coffee per day appears to be the range associated with the strongest blood sugar benefits. A meta-analysis published in Nutrients in 2022 reviewed over a dozen studies and found that moderate coffee consumption, defined as 2 to 4 cups daily, was consistently linked to lower fasting insulin levels and better glucose metabolism. More than 4 cups per day, particularly in older adults, can raise cortisol levels chronically and actually begin to impair insulin sensitivity rather than improve it. Let me tell you about Robert, a 72-year-old retired engineer I've worked with. Robert loved his coffee. He was drinking 5 to 6 large cups a day, spread throughout the afternoon, sometimes having a cup as late as 7 p.m. His sleep was fragmented, he was waking at 3 a.m. regularly, and his blood sugar was consistently elevated in his morning readings. We didn't take away his coffee, we just capped it at 3 cups, all before noon. Within 4 weeks, his morning blood sugar dropped an average of 11 points. His sleep improved. His energy in the afternoon actually got better, not worse, because his cortisol wasn't being artificially propped up all day. He told me, "I didn't think less coffee would give me more energy. That's completely backwards." I told him, "Your body had been running on adrenaline. Now it's running on rest. Your pro tip here, stop all caffeine by 2 p.m. Caffeine has a half-life of approximately 5 to 6 hours. A cup of coffee at 3 p.m. still has caffeine working in your system at 9 p.m. Poor sleep directly raises fasting blood sugar, increases cortisol, and increases insulin resistance the next morning. Your evening coffee and your morning blood sugar reading are more connected than most people realize. Now here's where it gets genuinely exciting. The fourth thing. Coffee contains compounds far beyond caffeine that directly impact your metabolic health. 2 in particular are chlorogenic acids and trigonelline. Now, those are just fancy names. Here's what they actually do. Chlorogenic acids slow down the absorption of glucose from your gut into your bloodstream. Think of them as a built-in speed bump. When glucose enters your blood more slowly, your pancreas has time to release insulin in a measured way rather than in a sudden flood. Trigonelline helps activate glucose transporters in your muscle cells, which means glucose gets pulled out of the bloodstream and used as fuel more efficiently. A study published in the European Journal of Nutrition in 2021 specifically looked at chlorogenic acid supplementation in adults with prediabetes and found a 12% reduction in fasting blood sugar over 12 weeks. These compounds exist naturally in coffee. The important thing to know is that certain brewing and preparation methods preserve them better than others. Filtered drip coffee and French press both retain high levels of chlorogenic acids. Instant coffee retains significantly less. Dark roasts, and this surprised me when I first read the research, actually retain slightly more chlorogenic acid than light roasts because the roasting process concentrates certain compounds as others are lost. If you're choosing between a light roast and a dark roast and blood sugar management is your goal, the dark roast is slightly the better choice. Here's your pro tip on this one. Avoid adding anything high in fat to your coffee if you're drinking it before a meal. High fat delays gastric emptying, which can cause an unpredictable delay in blood sugar rise that then hits harder later. Save cream or milk additions for after you've eaten. The fifth and final thing brings everything together, and it's the one most people overlook entirely. Hydration. Coffee is a mild diuretic. It increases the amount of fluid your kidneys filter out. If you drink 2 or 3 cups of coffee without drinking water alongside them, you can become mildly dehydrated without feeling particularly thirsty, especially in adults over 60 whose thirst mechanism is naturally less sensitive. Dehydration concentrates glucose in the bloodstream. When your blood volume decreases even slightly, the same amount of glucose in a smaller volume of blood reads as a higher concentration. Studies show that even mild dehydration, not being thirsty, just slightly underhydrated, can raise blood sugar readings by 10 to 20 points in people with blood sugar instability. The simple rule is this: for every cup of coffee, drink 1 additional 8-ounce glass of water. If you have 2 cups of coffee, drink 2 extra glasses of water on top of your normal intake. It takes 30 seconds. It can meaningfully affect your blood sugar readings by the next morning. Before we continue, I want to make a quick and sincere request. If you found any of this helpful today, if you learned something you didn't know before, please click the subscribe button right now. My entire mission with this channel is giving you accurate, practical health information that actually fits your life. By subscribing, you're joining a community of people taking their health seriously. Thank you. Welcome to the family. Now let's put everything together, because here's your complete action plan starting tomorrow morning. Tonight, go to your refrigerator and read the label on your coffee creamer. Look at the sugar content per tablespoon and add it up for your typical morning routine. If it's more than 5 grams total, make a note to pick up unsweetened almond milk or Ceylon cinnamon this week. Tomorrow morning, wait 90 minutes after waking before having your first cup of coffee and have a small breakfast first. This week, keep your coffee at 2 to 3 cups maximum and finish your last cup before 2 p.m. Check your morning blood sugar before and after making these changes if you have a glucometer at home. Give it 2 weeks. I believe you will be surprised by what you see. Comment "ready" below if you're going to try this starting tomorrow. I want to see how many people are taking this seriously today. I want to close by telling you about one more patient because her story is the reason I made this video. Helen was 74, a retired school teacher from Ohio. She had been told she was pre-diabetic 3 years earlier and had been white-knuckling her way through a restrictive diet ever since. She'd given up her morning coffee entirely because her doctor had mentioned caffeine and blood sugar in the same sentence, and she'd made the connection herself. She gave up her coffee and her fasting blood sugar barely moved. She was miserable. When she came to see me, one of the first things she asked was whether she could ever have coffee again. I told her not only could she have coffee again, I was going to show her how to use it in her favor. We reintroduced coffee the right way, the right time, the right additions, the right amount with proper hydration. 4 months later, her fasting blood sugar dropped from 117 to 103, below pre-diabetic range. She sent me a card that I still have in my office. It said, "You gave me back my mornings, Dr. Anderson. That is why I make these videos. Not to scare you away from things you love, but to give you the information to use them wisely. You have more control over your blood sugar than you may believe. Small, consistent changes create measurable results. And you are not alone in this. If this video could help someone you care about, a spouse, a sibling, a friend managing blood sugar, please share it with them today. It might change their morning routine and their health trajectory. Comment one of 3 things right now. Comment "coffee yes" if you're going to start drinking coffee the right way. Comment "coffee no" if you'd already given up coffee and want to try reintroducing it. Or comment "already doing it" if you were already following some of these steps. And please save this video. You may want to reference the timing and addition guidelines or share the specific study information with your doctor at your next visit. Thank you for watching all the way through. Take care of yourself. This is Dr. Anderson, and I'll see you in the next video.